Diabolical Thinking. September 23, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. Satan rules the world, they say. The Bible makes it clear that at the time of Jesus, he was already ruling the world. He doesn't rule the earth, just the world. So what is the world? The world is all the mental constructs and associated behavior that takes place. It's the things that don't actually exist, like corporations, foundations, trusts, cooperatives, LLCs, pension funds, fraternities, etc., which are just built of ideas and labels and names, agreements, and business structures, patents and copyrights and trademarks, generally accepted accounting procedures, banking and securities laws, treaties, doctrines, dogmas, accords, conventions, conferences, and so on. Now that you are squarely looking at it, does it disturb you to know that Satan's kingdom is built of nothing but words and ideas? And does this now explain the need to examine your thinking? Thoughts are built of words. Emotions are built of thoughts. Emotions and thoughts together build actions. Actions build the world. But how can you build rightly, if any of the precursors are faulty? If you use the wrong words, or the words can be interpreted in various ways, your thoughts can go sideways. If your thoughts are not built on a solid understanding, your emotions have nothing to rely on and can easily be completely inappropriate. And with wrong thinking, wrong assumptions, and wrong emotions resulting from wrong thinking, it is all but inevitable that you will take wrong actions, too. We recently had an example of that in our own family. My two daughters-in-law got into a horrible cat fight over a complete misunderstanding. One said something and the other took it wrong. This happens all the time, and we all know that it happens, but once equilibrium is restored, we don't take time to examine this phenomenon. We don't care enough about how it happens to examine it, so we never catch on to how this same process is utilized by Satan. The foundation of Satan's kingdom is diabolical thinking, which is based on the equally diabolic misuse of words. Deceitful words and ideas are part of the rebellion against the true God, who is the personification and embodiment of truth. In the beginning, was the Word, and in the beginning, each word had a specific function and meaning, there was one language, and everyone knew precisely what every communication meant. But something happened in Babylon, words began to take on a life of their own, the meanings of words began to change and shift, and the content of thoughts sparked by words also began to change and shift and become uncertain. This, then, affected emotions and actions, too. More kinds of words were added to language, and these modifiers, adjectives and adverbs, layered on more layers of possible, but increasingly uncertain meaning. What appears red to me, may appear green to you. What is up with relationship to me, may be down with relationship to you. So the effort to make our language more precise and meaningful at the same time caused it to be more debatable. This is where lawyers have their stock in trade, sorting through the misunderstandings and deceits and double entendres that lurk in business and social agreements of all kinds. When a bank advertises home loans, are they offering to loan you money to build a home, or are they soliciting to borrow your home as an asset for their use? When you realize that the common mortgage process consists of 1. You paying for the house, 2. Conveying your own property into a trust, 3. Giving the bank control of that trust, 4. Which they then abuse for their own advantages. It becomes clear that home loans doesn't mean what you were led to suppose. The phrase was used as a term of art, it took on a special meaning, quite different than any common use, and nobody told you. This is Satan's kingdom at work. You were misled to interpret home loans as an offer to loan you money for a home, when in fact, it is a solicitation for you to loan your home to the bank. The exact opposite. The same thing happened when a group of people calling themselves the United States Territorial Congress forgot to tell you that they were acting in a territorial capacity and changed the meaning of the word person to mean corporation without telling you. Double score, 2 deceits for the price of 1. First, you were misled to think that they were operating as our state delegates, and then, whenever they said person, it suddenly meant corporation. And again, the new meaning is exactly the opposite of the old meaning. Person, used to refer to you acting in your lawful capacity as a tradesman or merchant or businessman of some kind, but this group of men suddenly upended that meaning of the word, and from then on, when they said person, it meant corporation.
Thus, when you see the words personal bank account, you naturally continue to think of it as your own private property, your bank account, but when these masters of deception say or write the same exact words, it translates as corporate bank account.
What corporation? Well, they provided for that, too, by stealing your identity and unlawfully converting your trade name, also known as a given name, into the name of a corporation franchise conveniently owned and operated by them. We are seeing this in the whole debate about global warming, too. There's no scientific basis to think that carbon dioxide caused by human activity, or cow farts, is causing changes to the climate. This deceit, this wrong idea, has gained ground, and now we have hysterical women standing on street corners shouting like hellfire preachers, telling innocent people that if they don't stop using fossil fuels, the Earth will die in 11 years. This is like the hysteria caused by the publication of the population bomb. This book claimed to prove mathematically that population growth would kill the world by the late 1980s if we didn't all reduce ourselves to eating dirt right now.
The 1980s came and went, and only the abject true believers, who were not mathematicians or they wouldn't have bought this crapola in the first place, continue to buy the ugly fantasy of the mathematically certain destruction of the planet because we are having babies.
Neutering yourself for the cause proved less popular than boycotting oil products, thank the true God. A more sophisticated man or woman, not a compliment, can easily see that 1. Both these hysteria responses were promoted by false information causing wrong ideas which caused wrong emotions and wrong actions. 2. This progression of errors is being used to promote political and economic agendas designed to control and tax people. Nothing more. Satan's kingdom at work. Get the rubes to cling to their own chains. Get them to believe a false narrative that lets us tax and regulate them more, with their own agreement and consent. This is what I call diabolical thinking, and it is the actual means by which Satan, or at least his devotees, use to lie their way to success. It's up to the rest of us to become such critical thinkers, such skeptics, and so true-hearted, that we are bulletproof against this. Many people were startled by my statement exposing Barack Obama as a British corporate jock, not a communist at all. How could I deduce that? It's simple. These people always pretend to be their own target. This deflects attention away from what they are actually doing, causes others to have false assumptions about them and their motivations, allows them to blame their own bad behavior on their enemies, and, last but not least, their agent gets to infiltrate the social group they are targeting. So if Barack Obama pretends to be a pro-black, liberal, communist, you can be sure that he is an elitist, racist British agent, the exact opposite of what he pretends to be. This is how these people think and how they operate. Black is white and white is black, the common man is an elitist, the progressive is a Luddite, a person is a corporation, and a home loan involves you loaning your home and credit to a bank for the bank's profit, entirely and wholly at your expense. At every step, you are deliberately misled and your thinking, emotions, and actions are manipulated by deceitful use of words and phrases, by deliberately promoted false ideas and false assumptions, and then it is all kicked into action. It's like using electrical shocks on a mouse in a maze to induce the behavior you want from the mouse. Want a war in Iraq? Produce some false evidence, spread a bunch of lies using the lapdog media, promote wrong ideas and assumptions, get people all pumped up, and they will reliably take whatever wrong action you want them to take. In such a manipulated and manipulative environment, free thinking and logical deduction are even being discouraged in the scientific community. Facts and truth might interfere with self-interested commercial and political agendas.
This is why you must examine not only your own logic circuits, but learn how these people use verbal deceit to promote wrong actions that benefit them. The Pilgrim Fathers called attorneys masters of deceit, because they make their livings alternately promoting and unraveling exactly these kinds of deceits, but it's not just attorneys steeped in this crapola. Increasingly, the corporations posing as legitimate governments, that got into their position by deceit, are using more deceit to stay in power.
This is why ex-CIA Chief Michael Hayden spoke so glowingly about post-truth America. He wasn't, as many people assumed, indicating any future event in which the actual truth would be told to the American populace. He was talking about a world completely built on lies, ruled by exactly these kinds of deceits and manipulations. He was gloating about it. He thinks it's a good thing, because it allows him and people like him to rule over good people. It allows him and those like him to murder, steal, corrupt, use and abuse good people, and they think we are too stupid to catch on, ever, because generations of Americans have trusted what they thought of as their government and never figured out that they have been the victims of a hostile corporate takeover, and all but overcome by these banal deceits.
But Satan lost the bet a long time ago. His kingdom is forfeit, and we are here to collect. Be of good cheer, one candle lights a lot of darkness, and the truth is a sword.